Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick update for my leveling build for the rogue class in Season 7. In my latest video I told you that my rogue starter will be the Twisting Blades Poison Rogue, but this is more like the plan for the end game. But yeah, so far I have been playing around with my own version of Dance of Knives Rogue, and this is like a variant I have figured out last season, and it was like the most fun rogue experience I ever had with this class so far. So I just decided to give it a shot this season as well. And yeah, I can confirm it's still a lot of fun and it's very powerful, and it might be the most broken leveling build right now for all classes. So I just wanted to share it with you. The special thing here is that in this variant of Dance of Knives, we are trying to like not snapshot or do not any snapshots besides the shadow imbuement. So we don't have any, I don't know, potion snapshot, concealment snapshot, attack speed snapshot, none of this stuff here. So this variant is no snapshot variant basically. And also the special thing here is, you might already have recognized that we have some blue explosions going on here all the time. So this is coming from an aspect called Icy Alchemist, and this is also why I call this build the Alchemist Dancer. And yeah, it's pretty cool mechanic I have figured out last season. So basically what we can do here is, because we have our Shadow Imbuement active all the time because it snapshots with the Dance of Knives skill, we can benefit from the Icy Alchemist aspect that I will show you in a second, and deal a lot of AoE damage with these cold explosions. So this is like the main idea behind this build. And you can see, boom, boss fight, no problem. We have tier 45 cleared in 2 minutes when I was level 84 at Paragon. So I think it's pretty competitive here, and might be the best leveling build overall. So now let's jump into the game. So here you can see this is the Icy Alchemist aspect I was just talking about. And here we have a lucky chance up to 75%. So you need to have a skill Shadow Imbued first, but like I mentioned, we snapshot Shadow Imbuement with Dance of Knives. This is the only snapshot we are doing in this build, so this is active all the time. And then we have a 75% lucky chance to also release cold damage explosion, which also deals double damage if the enemies are already chilled or frozen, which they are actually all the time because of this aspect. So yeah, we just deal a bunch of flat cold damage AoE explosions, which is the main source for AoE damage in this build. Of course, we are still playing with the star shards, and this aspect is still kind of buggy, and I feel like it scales off the actual Dance of Knives damage, which it should not do, but it does. So for that reason, I also scale into, or like I invest skill ranks into Dance of Knives. But I only do this because the aspect is buggy. But actually we do not deal our damage mainly with Dance of Knives itself. So like I mentioned, we have Icy Alchemist aspect, which is carrying our AoE damage together with the Star Shards aspect. And you can also see on my weapon I have these flat damage. So I have 40% chance to deal shadow damage. On my other weapon I have cold damage, and on my two-hander I again have shadow damage. And this is intended because we are playing with cold imbuement and shadow imbuement. And here we have some synergies with our Eldritch Bounty board. So Eldritch Bounty legendary note says that we gain a damage bonus to an elemental type of the imbuments, also imbuments element type. So if I activate cold and shadow imbuement, then I will get a 30% damage increasement for cold and shadow damage. So for this reason, we only want shadow and cold damage on our weapons. And yeah, once you have unlocked these tempers, so this is like a temper recipe that you have to find first. So I can show you on this weapon, for example, it's called Elemental Surge, and you always want to go for Elemental Surge Knight, because here you can find the cold and shadow damage. And I was kind of lucky here, so I have found the best recipe pretty early on in the game. So this is like the legendary variant or version, which scales up to 2400 on a regular weapon. So yeah, I was kind of lucky here, but you can also play around with a rare version or magic version in the early game. So this is like our second damage layer, and especially for single target damage, so like in boss fights, we want as much flat damage as possible on our weapons. So very easy. I also was lucky with unique, so I also have found this Frostburn, which is very powerful in the early game, because here you can also see we have a bunch of flat damage effects here, which are very powerful in the early game. And I also have Call of the Nameless, which is like the best in slot helmet for this build already, because we are a very lucky chance based and focused build, and this helmet is just very, very powerful for lucky chance builds. So yeah, very lucky here. I also found like this test sets of the Dawning Sky, which is the reason why I'm nearly fully capped on resistances. And also Penitent Greaves are very good because they just give me more damage to chilled enemies, which we always do, and we, by the way, always freeze enemies with this build. This is also very cool. So with Icy Alchemist, we instantly freeze elites and rare monsters and stuff like that. So we can also benefit from our Frigid Finesse skill passive very quickly in the game. So yeah, overall very powerful build for early game. And yeah, but you don't need these uniques here, so I already have prepared a Mobalytics planner. And here you can see I also have like Fist of Fate and Call of the Nameless, because these are the best two uniques for this build. But you don't need them to start with the build, and it's just very powerful at itself, or like at its own. And yeah, just try to find some of these key aspects. So the key aspects are aspect of Star Shards and Icy Alchemist. If once you have found these two aspects, you can immediately swap to this build variant here, and it should be pretty good. The rest of the aspects are just some damage focused aspects. So yeah, here you can just take a look at everything: witch powers, occult gems, skills, paragon. My paragon is slightly different in the planner than in this video here, so like I just swapped Eldritch Bounty Board with Cheap Shot. Like I did it in a different order, but it doesn't matter too much, just follow my planner. I also don't think it makes too much sense explaining all the skills here. Just maybe one here. The Shadow Clone is a very nice addition this season. We can now also proc or like trigger, activate our lucky chance effects with Shadow Clone itself. So for this reason, I basically use Shadow Clone during the boss fight to, yeah, basically double my damage, because I have double chance for lucky chance procs. So yeah, this is a pretty cool addition here. And yeah, I think I can show you some more gameplay. So now we can go to one of these new witchcraft areas. I don't know how they're called. Witch Tide, I think. Like Hell Tide, but Witch Tide. And I can talk a bit about the skill rotation. It's very easy actually, but just so you get a full understanding of this build and how it works. So let's just find some monsters here. Yeah, so the first thing that I do is I activate my Cold Imbuement and Shadow Step into an enemy. So this way you can see I activate my Cold Imbuement, and immediately after that I swap to Shadow Imbuement, and then I start spinning. So the reason why I do this is because I want to activate both of my Imbuments at once, so I can benefit from Eldritch Bounty, like I mentioned previously. So again, I activate my Cold Imbuement, I Shadow Step, and then I activate Shadow Imbuement and start spinning. And you can see both of my Imbuments are active. So I have cold damage and shadow damage buffed with this skill rotation. And it also it's very good for mobility, because we can use Shadow Step very often. We actually want to use Shadow Step in order to activate the both Imbuments. So we are very mobile, even more mobile than with the other variants of Dance of Knives, I believe. Because in the other variants you usually have to snapshot Dance of Knives and you do not want to cast other skills. But here we can also even cast something like Smoke Grenade, it's no problem. So I can spin around here. If I find an elite mob, which is hard to kill, I can cast my Smoke Grenade and continue spinning. Because our Shadow Imbuement always have 2 charges, so we can start spinning immediately after Smoke Grenade, for example. Which is also pretty cool. And yeah, like I mentioned, Shadow Clone is only for bosses. Sorry. So if I would find a boss here, then I could show you this rotation also, but I think it's not too easy here. I also use my potions for more damage. You can also use your potions to stun elite packs. Because in the skill tree we also have this unstable elixirs. So you get damage after using a potion and you also stun enemies nearby using a potion. So I would also recommend you to use your potion when you're in the middle of an elite pack. Here it's difficult to show because everything just dies so quickly, but usually what you would do in the pit runs is you would also use your potion, your health potion, at elite packs to stun them and also deal more damage. But yeah, so let's pretend I would find a boss fight, I would find a boss here somewhere. So what I would do at a boss fight, I would just cast my Shadow Clone first, then I would throw my Smoke Grenade, and then I would repeat my other skill rotation and just start spinning with my Shadow Imbuement. Okay guys, I think that's it for this build here. I hope you get an idea how it works and that it's very powerful. So yeah, I hope you like this video, I hope I see you in the next one. And until there, have a nice day guys, and